Hey, what's going on everyone? Nick here with HN Entertainment's review for The Punisher Season 2. So obviously The Punisher is one of the shows that fans really enjoyed ever since he got his own series after his smash debut on Daredevil Season 2. The Punisher is of course played by Jon Bernthal in this incarnation, and with Season 2 we see the return of characters from the previous season like Madani, Curtis, and Karen Page. There's also some newcomers this time around in the form of John Pilgrim, played by Josh Stewart, and a young girl named Amy, played by Georgia Wiggum. The season is kind of divided up into two story arcs. Without spoiling things, one of the arcs follows the transformation of Billy Russo, who is basically the character Jigsaw from the comic books, but he never refers to himself as such. And it's kind of like watching him come out of the events of Season 1 completely damaged and scarred by what happened to him at the end of that, and him kind of forming his own gang of sorts. And the second main story arc follows Frank Castle tracking down a girl named Amy after he saves her from a random bar attack. And basically it turns out that Amy is hiding more secrets than she leads on initially, and that's why one of the other characters, John Pilgrim, is after her. Eventually the two storylines do intersect. The Punisher does cross paths with Billy Russo yet again. So overall this season I felt was good, but not nearly as good as Season 1. There's definitely a lot of highlights to this season, a lot of great performances, but ultimately I felt a bit underwhelmed by this incarnation of Billy Russo. I felt like they didn't take the character nearly as crazy or demented as they could have, and they play it very, I guess, realistic or grounded without actually going into the kind of insanity that the character has from the comic books. It was also weird that the season's main theme was kind of dealing with Frank adopting the mantle of the Punisher, because I felt like we had already kind of crossed that bridge in Season 1, but for some reason they kind of drew it out for another season yet again, and that was kind of a nitpick that I had with the show overall. I also feel like this is a problem with all of the Netflix shows, but they tend to kind of drag on, you know. The first arc or so is good, then it really sags in the middle, but then things do kind of pick up, you know, towards the last 3 or 4 episodes. Overall, if I had to give this season a rating, I'd probably give it about a 6.5, maybe a 7 on the high end, just due to performances and the overall performance of Jon Bernthal, who I think does a great job as the Punisher. But like I said, it was definitely a step down from the first season, which I thought told a really interesting tale and gave this version of the Punisher a really satisfying story arc and origin. And of course I will touch upon the fact that this might be the final season of the show, because as we know, Marvel and Netflix's relationship has pretty much soured at this point, and without spoiling things, the season does end on a satisfying note to where, should this be the final season, at least it goes out with a way that's, you know, satisfactory and not like leading into a direct thing like a cliffhanger or anything to set up events for a Season 3. So all in all, definitely check out The Punisher next Friday if you guys are big fans of the series and want to see how it continues, but I have to say I'm a bit mixed on the season overall. For more updates on The Punisher, as we definitely will have more coverage of it once the season goes live, be sure to subscribe to HN Entertainment.